Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah.
Hi, I'm Ken.
And I'm Kat.
And we're the Traveling Wildberries. Hi there. We're still in the process of figuring out the RV and its various systems, so for this outing we decided to take the show on the road to a more wilderness type area, out of town a ways. In other words, not in a parking lot at the racetrack. Not to say our experience boondocking at Rideau Carleton wasn't a great learning experience and wasn't interesting, because it was. We had lots of fun watching the horse races and gambling a wee bit as well.
This journey takes us to a lake we found several years ago during a somewhat impromptu camping trip back when we first met. There is a very interesting story with plenty of twists and turns and a bit of comedic value, which goes with that camping trip, and if anyone is interested, we would be happy to share that twisty story with you.
I had the day off, so I brought the RV in to have the security system installed. You can see that adventure in this video here. Once I was done, and after stopping for a few supplies, I went back to the house to get things ready. Kathy was working, so I picked her up after work, and then we headed down the 417 to White Lake. The weather report was calling for a beautiful weekend. Temps in the high teens to the low to mid 20s, or so they said.
The ride into the western setting sun was really nice.
We arrived to find the spot that I had staked out the last time we were there on the lake was open and available. The tree line was a bit low, so I carefully weaved my way down in through the canopy.
Since it was close to 8 p.m., we got right on to setting up the barbecue so we could cook up the steaks and eat before it got too dark. It seems the mosquitoes had also arrived in full force, as they were ferociously hungry and attacking at will, as they normally do when I'm around.
After supper, it got a bit cooler, so the mosquitoes disappeared, which set the stage for us to set up the recliners and enjoy a beautiful night sky.
It was a clear night, and the sky was filled with wonderful twinkling stars and planets, as well as the familiar distant blinking lights of the planes that crisscross the sky over our cities at night.
It might sound simplistic or trivial to some, but we both agree that it's quite amazing to think that there are typically hundreds of people sitting aloft inside each one of those planes as the blinking lights slowly make their way across the sky, thousands of miles overhead.
An amazing thought, when you think about it. We realize it's early in the season, but we were really still hoping to hear some loon calls.
Loon calls have got to be one of the most tranquil and relaxing sounds, especially since they're usually combined with the total and absolute darkness associated with what is referred to as cottage country. And lo and behold, it didn't last long, but sure enough, they did make a brief but vocal appearance. Now, as far as beautiful and free boondocking spots go, this is, for the most part, a great little place. All except one little detail.
We were about to find out that one of the houses in the vicinity had several dogs, and it would seem that those dogs also enjoyed their existence on this beautiful lake. So much so, in fact, that they stayed up most of the night barking at the moon, or barking at something. We managed a bit of sleep, then woke up Saturday morning with a beautiful view of the lake and a gorgeous sunrise in a somewhat chilly RV.
While Kathy was catching up on some sleep, beauty sleep, I decided to take a walk around the beach across from our spot.
she walks the whole trail with me right behind.
I guess the advantage is the dogs on a leash bylaw doesn't apply to your cat.
When I got back to the RV, I had some bacon and eggs while Kathy did some more catching up on her Z's. When Kathy woke up a little while later, she had a much more healthy style breakfast. Yeah, a banana and an apple.
It seems the weather report that was mentioned earlier, about mid-teens, neglected one small little thing. Accuracy. That's right. Instead of warm and sunny, it turned out to be cold and dreary. Too cold, in fact, to even bother sitting outside. So we played cards and I beat him at backgammon to pass the time. Later in the evening, we watched a spaghetti western. Wah, wah, wah. And cooked our minute steak, which went well with the sweet potatoes we baked in the convection oven. Wah, wah, wah. Earlier when we had the generator running. For those not familiar, minute steak is a tenderized pan-fries type of steak.
We weren't concerned with using the convection oven and being heated out of the RV since it was quite chilly. So the extra heat generated was quite welcome, and it meant that the furnace didn't kick on. And that was pretty much the extent of the evening. We went to sleep to the sound of rain on the roof.
We woke up Sunday morning to, are you ready for this?
Snow.
Yes, there was snow on the ground, on the picnic table, outside the RV. One good thing, though, it would seem that the rain and the colder temperatures kept the dogs quiet, so we were able to get a fairly good sleep.
We decided to pack it in and head for the local truck stop in order to empty the tanks and hang out there for a bit in order to get a feel for what the truck stop atmosphere is all about. Turns out the person I spoke to when we got there told me that their dump station was not open yet. As a matter of fact, he said they didn't even open at all last year. He went on to tell me a horror story about some fellow who didn't have a hose for his black tank and tried to simply angle his spout in order to dump his waste. Suffice to say, it was a total mess.
Moral of the story? Be wary. If your dump station's app says the local truck stop is a dump station, it may or may not be available for dumping after all.
We decided to head into Carlton Place for a visit with a friend and also to grab some gas there because according to the Gas Buddy app, it was the least expensive in town. After a pit stop for gas, we tried calling my friend, but he wasn't answering, so we did a bit of sightseeing in Carlton Place. Here's a picture of a nice church located at the center of town. Churches are interesting for me. It's not so much the religious aspect, but more so the architectural presence they generally have. Oftentimes, they're quite majestically lit up at night as well.
We pulled up at the local park near the waterfront and cooked dinner in the RV.
Just as we were finishing up, my friend called to say that he was home, so we went over to share a coffee and a chat with him.
After a short visit, we headed home.
And now we await the next adventure. Hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.